Good evening and welcome back
to the news.
to the all-female shit show.
Welcome to the female shit show.
Hi Anna.
Hi Georgie.
And hi Em.
Hello. Emma's back. Second episode.
For another lesson. She's here to give us the facts rather than us just spouting our own silly opinions at each other.
This is going to be episode 8 and we did episode 4 with you last time, so it's like...
Nice. I can't believe you
Wow,
did
amazing. I'm mind blown.
Part 2 of 4 is 8. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Glad we've got that out of the way. Obviously, Emma's with us because this is going to be another mental health episode, and Emma's, of course, an NHS therapist. So Em can give us a really great insight into why we think the way we do and the psychology behind mental health.
The third member of the female shit show.
Of course.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So we did touch on a lot in the first episode as well.
The first mental health episode 4.
Oh yeah. What we had mentioned was treatments, therapies, counselling.
Yeah.
When you've identified these problems, what are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get help? How's that journey going to go for you? This is what we're going to go into a lot more today, and maybe a bit more deeper on maybe our own experiences.
Like we said in the last episode as well, we all have mental health. We all have something that we can say on this topic, and specifically more us because we have all been to counselling.
Yeah.
We've all had therapy, so we have that insight into what we've learned, and we can tell you a bit about how it helped us, what we thought of it, in case you are yourself considering going, especially after this hectic year. I'm sure so many other people will be considering it.
And it's nice to be part of a conversation as well. If you perhaps don't have people to speak to about or you're not comfortable, it's just nice to hear it from us, hear some of the people's experiences. And that's ultimately, why we're here, why we're doing this. So.
Exactly. Opening up the conversation.
Destigmatise mental health.
Yeah, that's thrown about a lot, isn't it? So can we really quickly talk about the Oprah interview with Meghan and Harry? Obviously, she does cover mental health issues.
Well, that was the biggest catalyst
for
the whole Megxit.
How she
they
felt.
needed to leave because she could not get help.
She went to the palace asking for help. She was suicidal. She was having harmful thoughts. And the palace basically said, no, we are not getting you any help.
And everyone suspected this anyway. Surely everyone knew that's why they had to leave. Millions and millions of people watched that. The highest ITV numbers they've had for since a Britain's Got Talent final or something. Because everyone I know was watching it.
It's so important. It's going to be historic.
Even if you don't follow the royal family, as you said, Anna, there's issues of race in there, there's issues of mental health.
It's great that they could finally speak out for everything, the whole situation, but how brave she is to be able to say that publicly as well.
Yeah, stand up for herself.
I had to, we had to do this for the safety of my family.
In a society today when we're striving so hard to break the stigma around mental health, for literally the head of state of this country to turn around and deny someone mental health help is so shocking as an evolved society.
They have the stigma around it. The British public don't anymore. I think people, we're so comfortable, but people are comfortable talking about it. Even in social situations, people will, maybe not too casually, but talk about anxiety and because you can now.
I think you're right.
It's
People
in
are
the
more open.
It's in the vocabulary now.
Oh yeah.
If someone
really
says
great.
they're anxious, you don't look at them and think,
No.
oh my God, you're crazy, you're mental. Whereas perhaps even 10 years ago, it was still too stigmatised then perhaps, but
no one spoke about it when I was a young teenager.
I remember the only thing, if someone wasn't well or said they have bad mental health, all we knew was depression, that was it. You just wouldn't know, whereas I feel like teenagers now know a lot more.
Yeah. Another thing which I thought was so sad, Harry, who was obviously brought up in the palace and probably around these views around mental health, was that he even said that he was ashamed to open up about his wife suffering with mental health issues. He was ashamed of it himself.
Because he probably knew
so
that
sad.
reaction.
Oh, I've seen your nails, they're amazing.
He's been in that
They are amazing. Have you done them
shiny
yourself? They are
That's so good.
unreal.
Can you do mine like that one day? I love how in both mental health episodes we've all been like, oh, my hair's so dark.
Yeah.
Oh, the nail colour. Wow, I'm getting so off topic. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about the interview.
So I guess the first point to make is that there are a lot of different options available for each person and each individual problem. A specific type of therapy might be more suitable for you. If you are concerned about your mental health or you feel like you might need some support, you don't need to make that decision regarding what type of therapy you need.
that's literally your job.
Yeah, the pressure is off you on that point. It'll be kind of decided what type of therapy is going to be best for you. So the two main therapies offered are cognitive behavioural therapy and counselling. They're often kind of used interchangeably, but they're actually quite different. So counselling is more of a reflective conversation. So it might be that you just want to talk through something difficult that's happened. You just need the space to kind of talk about what's going on currently in your life. Whereas cognitive behavioural therapy is a more goal-focused, like structured therapy.
Here's how to deal with it. Here's what to do, not just tell me.
You'll be given like tasks to do for homework and like exercises to do. So it's more hands-on.
Already, sorry, spoilers. That's more than I got 10 years ago. So
I
wish I'd got homework.
I got both. I had CBT and counselling.
Yeah, it's used for like quite a broad range of different mental health problems, anxiety disorders, depression, even things like PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and OCD, so like obsessive compulsive disorder.
Someone might not even be, fully diagnosed yet, so they need that. They need someone who knows.
Yeah, someone might not come in and be like, I've got OCD, I need a specialist in this.
At the point where you first see the therapist, they'll do a very thorough assessment of your symptoms, and then from that they'll choose the treatment for that problem. There are other options as well. You can have CBT, but EMDR, which is, I'm not trained in it, but it's like an eye movement therapy. So it's a specific type of therapy for PTSD and you have to be specially trained.
So wait, eye movement?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how does that
eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
There's something I find really interesting about like CBT and specific types of therapy when there's like the
EMDR.
physical can relate to the mental, then it's like there's more tangible link between like
it's
trauma and then how you think.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a form of training though as well, isn't it? The
It's
whole
so
idea of it is to reprogram you and make you, you process different.
That's literally what therapy does. It's identifying like thought patterns or patterns of behaviour and looking to adapt them.
This is something we didn't think to go into, is like literally the definition of the word therapy.
Yeah.
This is the
this is it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Wow, psychology. Really interesting.
Because you want, this is so funny, but like watching The Sopranos, he doesn't think he's there to just talk to her. He goes in every week, he speaks to her and he's like, what are you going to do? Make me better? And she's like, it's a process. Like, I'm not just going to tell you what to do and like make you better. I need to speak to you.
It's really important not to expect things to change overnight. Because I think
and you got to put the work in yourself as well.
A lot of work goes into it.
Which Tony Soprano didn't. And that's why he kept going.
I've definitely had that experience where after one session somebody's told me that they don't feel better and I had to really clearly
He's like going to the gym once.
Yeah, like literally going on a diet. Going on a diet for a day.
So stick with,
yeah, you have to persevere. Okay, just to kind of make this distinction quite clear, because I think the term depression, the term anxiety are really widely used, but actually it might be that you don't really know exactly what the difference is. With depression, the characteristic features is low mood, loss of interest, loss of enjoyment, loss of pleasure, and then that is associated with symptoms such as tiredness, withdrawal, sometimes suicidal thoughts or thoughts of self-harm.
So a lot of lows.
But with anxiety, the characteristic feature is excessive worry about multiple topics. It's associated with like muscle tension, irritability. What we find is with depression and anxiety, it's really common that they are both experienced. So someone with anxiety may also feel depressed and vice versa. If you were constantly feeling anxious and then not sleeping well, of course you're going to feel tired and fed up. And if you're constantly feeling low, again, it's going to feed into like your irritability and your interactions with others.
That's
and
true.
Very interlinked.
Yeah.
But I also think as much as they could be interchangeable, you could have one without the other.
Yeah.
They're like opposite ends of the scale, and that depression is slow.
Like a numbness.
Yeah,
like
no
do
activity.
not feel like yourself.
Yeah.
Don't want to do anything. Whereas anxiety is just like overthinking,
really energetic,
really fast thoughts.
yeah.
One thought jumps to the next. But I can see how a really bad anxiety attack or like constantly feeling anxious
they would
about
lead to
something
bad thoughts.
could lead to
They're like sort of standard features, but actually for two people that both have anxiety or two people that both have depression, they may present really differently to each other.
That's so true.
So everybody's different in terms of how they experience it from one person to the next.
Yeah.
So post-traumatic stress disorder, it's caused by directly or indirectly experiencing actual or threatened death, physical harm or sexual violence. So that is like the definition of PTSD. When we go through something traumatic, our brain stores that trauma memory in what we call a fear structure in the brain. So it's stored in, for those people that know about the brain, it's stored in the amygdala, which is like the part of the brain that processes fear. So what happens is when the memory's not processed properly, it means we've not emotionally processed it. So it becomes literally lodged in the brain. We continue to fear the memory, continue to avoid thinking about it. We continue to avoid things that remind us of the trauma, places, it might be certain people.
Something can feel like you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Because it physically is stuck in your brain.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why people get like flashbacks or nightmares, because it's still kind of in their brain. If you feel like you have PTSD, shouldn't deal with it on your own, like you should definitely go to a trained professional to get that support. It doesn't just go away, basically.
Yeah. It's like a broken leg, you can't do that on your own.
Yeah,
you have to go
you
and
need
see a
to
doctor
yeah.
so that it heals okay.
Yeah. How we'd actually treat it with CBT, you'd firstly encourage or work with the patient to like properly process the memory, going over it and like pausing at the points that cause the most distress.
So that be really hard.
That can take hours, honestly. It can take a few sessions just to do that, and the next bit is then confronting situations or places or people that you've been avoiding. It works.
Quite literally, you've got to
it's facing your fears, and that's what a lot of therapy is. It's confronting things you're avoiding.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel worse before you feel better.
That's what my therapist always said. Yeah. You're gonna feel bad for a couple of days.
Yeah, you definitely.
It's okay to cry. Do a face mask, have a bath.
Not that saying like working out in the gym hurts.
Yeah, the gym.
But then you get the
if
long-term
it doesn't
gains.
hurt, exactly.
You got to tear those muscles to build the muscles.
You're gonna tear your brain.
We sound like gym junkies.
Yeah, that's so true.
You two are. I'm not. I'm like, yeah.
It is like short-term pain, long-term gain, isn't it? Really. Either things stay the same or you make changes.
Joining the gym, you need to actually go. Being in there is one thing.
Yeah.
You've got to work hard when you're in there.
Yeah.
Follow it up.
Yeah.
It's just the gym.
Yeah.
For your brain.
It is the gym for your brain. I love that.
So my first whole experience with, I think it was just counselling. Basically, I was 15 in school. I had a teacher find out that I wasn't well. Yeah, it was really grim. So that made it even worse. I had told quite a few of my closest friends anyway. A week or two later, I didn't even know about this. They hadn't even arranged it with me. They literally pulled me out of class, told me there was a counsellor I could go and speak to. They brought someone in school, and there was this weird little room in our school that I'd never been to. It was half an hour. I don't remember her asking me any constructive questions, giving me any constructive feedback. I just remember her asking me why I was sad. It didn't lead anywhere. And I seen her once more after that. Surely if she'd said something constructive or helpful, I'd remember that.
Yeah.
At least they did something. At least they set that up. But so the school had good intentions for me, but it just didn't go anywhere.
Right.
She might have just not got enough out of me. Maybe I didn't give her enough. But
that sounds like a really unhelpful experience.
Because that was my first ever experience of getting help, in quotation marks, because I didn't feel like it did. That has honestly made me so cynical to ever speak to a GP again.
That's such a shame.
To ever reach out for help or try anything else. I feel like it forced me to deal with it more myself. That was easier to speak to my mum about it as well, because she was always there. She was always gonna let me speak to her, rather than this professional, quotation marks, that wasn't. A few years after that, I must have been about 18, 19. Basically, I'd having trouble with the pill I was on. Obviously, typically, famously, there's mental health side effects of the pill. Yeah. We all know this.
Oh my god.
The doctor I had, she was quite old. I just remember not being taken very seriously, getting really upset in her office and telling her that I was going really low and having suicidal thoughts because of what I thought was this pill. Yeah. This is the thing why it would be very easy to blame any mental health problems you had on the pill. I felt like I was doing that, and that's why I wouldn't ever go back on the pill, because I would never want to put myself in that position where I'm blaming it on the pill again. It wasn't the pill. It wasn't the pill that was making me depressed. It was my life.
Right. Okay.
And then I thought, am I getting? So she goes, maybe you should try not having the break, because it might be the end of the cycle. It's a fake cycle anyway. Yeah. She assumed it was PMS symptoms. Keep taking them. Don't have the break. That was so much worse. Oh god. So then I just was
just more hormones.
So low constantly. And then there was no escape from it, because even psychosomatically, if I had the break off the pill, I'd be I should be okay within this week because I'm not on the pill. I don't know if it was the pill. There's no way of chemically testing whether it's the pill that's making you. That was the frustration of it. You don't know whether it's the pill. And the same when people, give all their own side effects. The pills make me lose, gain or lose an appetite or gain or lose sex drive. You don't know that.
Yeah, that's true.
You really
Could be
don't
your
know.
situation. You
All
could say
these
that about
external
anything,
factors.
and that's very
That's
stressful.
Yeah. So my problem was that I didn't want to have the pill there to use as a scapegoat, essentially. Now I'm like, no, it definitely wasn't the pill. I'm just not okay.
It's just me.
I then asked to see a different doctor because I was like, it was
It's
a
the
younger
doctor.
Yeah.
It's the pill. It's the doctor.
It was a younger woman, and she was so nice. I remember telling her that was what the doctor had recommended, and she was like, I can't believe that. She was so shocked. And then she got me onto phone CBT, and I did that for like a month, but that was like so helpful. Even 10 minutes of one of those phone calls was better than the hour I'd had with the woman at the school. I think I was like, yeah, like, give me a phone call. I don't want to have that experience again where I'm sat in front of someone being vulnerable and they just don't really give a shit.
With therapists, like, you've got to find the right therapist for you as well.
Exactly.
If you don't feel like you gel, the therapeutic relationship's literally more important than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel like you connect with them, ask for a new therapist.
For me, I don't know what it was, like, and other people may have had the same situation, but I didn't want a male counsellor. I didn't want it. So in the end, I just asked for a female one, and it was as easy as that. And they're completely understanding about that. Yep.
I feel like you would have been like offended to bitch about men in front of this male counsellor.
Yeah, probably. Or, yeah, maybe. It wasn't my therapy sessions all were just me bitching about men.
No, I know. That might have been a theme.
Like,
Yeah.
the therapist
The relationship
has
is
to be
everything.
like friendly.
That's all it is. We're
Yeah.
not three strangers sat in a room. Like, we all know each other. That's why we're
Yeah.
opening up.
Yeah.
And the phone one
So
was.
make
The
you
phone
wanna
one
talk
was
to
them.
was great. At the time, it didn't feel like I was being. What's that? Is therapized or what?
Therapized.
Given therapy.
Yeah.
It felt so good anyway to be given advice and be given help and being told how to process your thoughts and
Yeah.
given the tools.
Especially the pill, like, you don't want to go on it 'cause
Yeah.
you don't want to know that something else could be messing up your mental health. Like, if anything's going to be messing up, you want to know it's like real and not fake hormones.
Yeah.
I obviously had like a weird thing with my pill as well. When I was in school, I would cry and I'd literally have to like go into the bathrooms. But just in more of a general thing about the pill, I was actually on a pill which was used for contraceptive methods but also to target like hormonal spots. And it was actually one of the ones that were banned by the FDA in America because it was causing really high depression and suicide rates. And I was prescribed this without knowing that.
That was the main problem.
Obviously, we'll come on to this in the contraception episode, but that just had a massive impact on my mental health. And I'm sure that I can attribute that to the pill that I was on.
Especially with the whole doctor thing. You know, you had one doctor saying, oh, do this, you know, you can control your moods by controlling your pill. I thought, surely not, that's not
Yeah.
right. And then it made it worse. So how was I going to trust that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's enough out of me. Feel therapized.
Therapized. Like, that's actually something I was going to say, that therapy gives you the opportunities that day-to-day life wouldn't. Like, you would never normally have this conversation. Oh my god, so when I was younger I had really bad anxiety. Like, you're never going to say that and like go through your experiences with mental health. That's why, if you can't talk about it in day-to-day life with people close to you, like, you can't sit down and be like, by the way, I'm going through shit, go to a therapist, because that's literally what they're there for.
You know, although, you know, you may want to or need to share, you know, and a loved one, if they find out you're going through something, they'll say, oh, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you talk to me? A lot of the time, a lot of the conversations with my mum didn't turn out very well because it turned into a relationship thing where
You just needed like a
she's not my
unbiased-
therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You want to be like to your closest loved ones. You want to be like, if you're ever going through something, come to me. Like, I want to be there for you. It's easier said than done
Yeah.
because
big
it's
responsibility.
so hard
is,
to just be
yeah.
like, I am not feeling good. I would feel like I'm a burden because if they have like some emotional connection to you in your life, they're then going to feel shit that you're feeling shit.
Yeah, but that's you all over. Like, you
I know.
you don't want to. You want to
Yes.
keep people happy.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say, one of the things that puts me off drinking, I would have panic attacks after I drank, to the point once where my friend called a paramedic on a night out, and I was sat in an ambulance being like, I can't breathe, and he was like, you're just having a panic attack. My mum took me to like, basically to see someone. I was so hungover. It was just literally such a traumatic experience. This was when I was like 15. And like, they didn't do anything. I think they gave me a contact of like the local counselling service.
Remember what time of year this was? Like
summer, I think, because it was like summer break, because I wasn't in
And
school.
this you and me at the same time in summer 2011.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
so
2011.
weird. And now we're sat here talking
Yeah, we're talking about it 10 years
podcast.
later.
And I was offered it over the phone. That, like, my worst nightmare, I did not want to talk over the phone about, like, especially when I lived at home, like, that wasn't fun.
I used to
never
have to
did
go
it.
into
Or,
the
like,
garage
group
in mine.
therapies. Yeah, where they're
I literally would go in the garage at like 7 in the morning and I'd like ask for the earliest space so no one could hear me in my house.
Yeah, so like group sessions or
Yeah.
phone calls might not be for you. They weren't for me because I just wouldn't want to do that. And then like a couple of months down the line, I was like to my mum, yeah, so I don't think I'm going to do that thing because I feel better now. Obviously it wasn't better at all. And years carried on, and then I finally got therapy. But yeah, so like I was never encouraged to go, and it was a similar situation to you, like because it was so long ago, maybe
I really think
no one was ever pushed to go.
But I really hope it wasn't just because you're 15 and it's not taken as seriously when you're younger.
Yeah, so the reason why I went to counselling the first time, I was in a bit of a rocky relationship, which I think a lot of people have experienced when you are younger. And I should have got help when I realised that it was affecting me. I know that would have been really good for me to have my own space where I could have spoken about what was going on. But not having that support system. But then it wasn't until like I was out of that relationship and like a few years down the line I was in another relationship that I realised like I don't want to say trauma because that's almost like misusing the word, but it felt like trauma was like coming up again.
The association.
Yeah, it wasn't until a couple of years later that I finally went to counselling. And it was just like normal face-to-face counselling where you just chat about it. But it was like the first time that I got to properly sit down with someone and just talk about it. And I was so bad at talking about anything that helped me in that first
just learning
first
to
bit of
talk
counselling.
about something.
Through counselling, it's definitely made me better at just speaking openly about stuff.
Being able to
being able
understand
have
it,
that
and
conversation.
That's such a big
vocalise
thing
it.
to learn.
Yeah, and then a couple of years later, when I was having like still some issues with like anxiety and things, I then got CBT, and that was great because it looks at proper like cognitive process behind your
The whys.
thoughts, the why you're thinking the way you are. And obviously now it's completely different because I can understand me.
And they're transferable
Counselling
lessons
is so
as well.
great. Yeah, exactly. So that was like a summary. Quick summary. I'm sorry I was like ranting so much there.
That's like the fastest I've ever heard you speak.
Literally, I was trying to just get it all out without thinking about it too much. The thing which I was going to say about relationships is like I learnt so much from being the partner in the relationship of someone that had a mental health issue, and then obviously later on in my life I was the person trying to like relay that to someone else. So I've literally experienced like both sides of the coin. It's like taught me you have to be really careful with, if you're the person with facing the mental health issue in the relationship, how to explain to someone else what you're going through, why you're going through that, how they can help you. Not help you as in treat you, but just
what they can do
you.
to make things better.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like with any relationships that can be the case.
Yeah,
Friendships,
definitely.
it's like I said, teachers, parents.
Being open is so important. Obviously it takes a while to get there, as you found, Anna, but like once you've got that skill of being able to openly communicate how you're feeling and what you need, that can be so helpful, like in looking after your own mental health, can't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree relationships and a mental health issue are very tied up in each other because they are both like inherently linked with like emotions, so they can get
blurred lines.
Blurred lines. Yeah,
I say this a lot with if you live with your partner as well.
Oh my god,
a lot of the arguments you have are about being roommates, they're not about your relationship. That's any advice I give anyone who's moving in.
So true.
You're not arguing about your relationship. You're
Cleaning.
arguing about house bills, bills,
that's
money.
So interesting.
That's so true.
Because every time, like literally every little argument we have, I look at him and say, "This is a roommate argument."
Yeah.
It's not that deep. Like it's the washing up.
A helpful point can be learning to recognise what behaviour is a symptom of the mental health issue and not the other person's realistic behaviour.
Yeah, so like how a mental health problem can change like perceptions, I guess.
It helps to have open conversations with the other person just to be able to clearly identify how their anxiety manifests to them. For example, like telling them that they overthink certain things and they might just need a bit of extra reassurance. But on the other hand, you should also never be taking on the other person's problems as your own.
Yeah.
You're not their therapist and you're not there to fix them. You're there to like support and care and love them.
Absolutely, that's so true.
That was what I learnt from my life. Yes.
I wasn't gonna like talk about my counselling, but I actually think I'm going to now because you guys have
Been
inspired
so
me.
good.
You
Oh,
actually
cute.
have. I honestly, when I look back on myself, literally from a young child, I've always been really anxious. When I was 7 years old, I was in year 3. My teacher at the time, who was a cow, by the way, she was such a bitch.
Not the teachers, man.
She'd always write on my report that I was a worrier and that I worried about everything. And I remember one night, I left my pencil case, laid in bed awake all night, literally sweating, worrying about it. And that's just an example.
Okay.
When I was 7.
Bless you.
And my dad had to come into school with me in the morning, and this woman was like, oh, classic Emily, like, she's just such a worrier.
Already making you feel bad.
Yeah.
Just for feeling your feelings.
At primary school, I remember being anxious and worrying all the time about lots of different things under 11 years old. And then at secondary school, it's weird because even my really good friends and family, like, probably don't know the extent of the amount that I have felt anxious over the years because I'm really good at, like, not showing it on the...
I wouldn't have even thought
exactly.
you had, like, any...
That's what everybody says, but I'm just so good at... I'd honestly
But isn't that a good example of how we don't know what's going on in people's lives?
But I'm honestly getting better at managing it because especially the last couple of years, I'd say, dealing with uncertainty and managing my worries. But I'd say the only person that, like, really does know the extent of it is Murphy, because he lives with me and we've been together for nearly 5 years. Obviously, if you live with somebody, they see all sides of you. Yeah. He sees the breakdowns, he sees...
My pencil case!
He sees, like, the tears and my concerns, and I do share. He's brilliant and he's so supportive. As I say, even my, like, best friends, they probably wouldn't know that at all. Like, some of them have been there through the breakdowns, but, like, I remember at uni, like, so many times thinking I really need to talk to somebody, because obviously at uni you're stressed, you've got deadlines, you've got a lot of pressures. If you're already someone that worries and puts a lot of pressure on themselves, that is going to bring out those tendencies. And then I had some counselling last summer. I literally had, like, 6 sessions with this lady, and I knew I didn't want CBT because I was like, I think I actually just want to talk to somebody who isn't my friend or family member, get my thoughts out in a private space, somebody who doesn't know me. And honestly, like, by the last session, I remember thinking I don't need to book another one because I actually don't have anything to say. And I don't know what she did. She kind of just sat there and listened, and it was so helpful.
But sometimes that's all you
what
need.
I needed. I just
someone to speak to.
So lucky. I've got such supportive friends. Murphy's brilliant. My family are great, but sometimes you need that person who isn't going to try and fix your problem. They're not going to give you advice. They're literally just there to listen.
They also, if they don't have a relationship to know alternatively emotive, it doesn't affect them in any way.
They're not taking the baggage. Yeah.
They're not going to tell anyone what you're saying. Like,
they're not going
you
to worry
don't
about
feel judged.
it.
They're not going to worry about it. No. It was so helpful. I'm quite a good example of someone that comes across as somebody who's really confident and put together and organised, and I am, but what people don't see is how much goes on underneath. Like,
it's interesting to think how, like, everyone's journey is so different as well.
Yeah.
Like, your example was, like, the youngest example out of what we've said, but then you said you only got, like, counselling last year, whereas
isn't that crazy?
Like, it could be ages until you get help.
I really wish that it had been picked up on when I was younger and I'd had some help for it then, just to manage the anxiety a bit better, look at worry management.
But you just don't think that when you're a kid, do you? You don't know what's going on,
of course not.
Especially when you're a teenager.
And you don't know what it's
called. Is this my brain? Like, is this me now?
Exactly.
Do you think that's because teachers, when they go through teacher training, aren't taught about the mental side of learning and teaching and recognising that in students? Obviously they are now because, like, the new laws.
But back in the day, like, I don't think it wasn't as big a thing.
But hopefully, obviously now that'll change a little bit. Now that mental health is going to be more important in schools, it's going to be something that we might pick up in early stages.
Early intervention's so important, isn't it? Like, early detection and then, like, early input. It stops the problem kind of snowballing and escalating into something much worse when people get older. So
that sounds like the miracle cure for, like, most people's mental health issues later on in life.
Like, it really is. Like, I think we are developing a better understanding of things and slowly getting there. And I do hope that it kind of continues this way, where people keep being open about it and talking about it
and making a podcast so that they can talk about
mental health issues. Therapy, it isn't for everybody. Like, there's no guarantee that it's going to work, but it has been shown to be effective. So it is an evidence-based therapy.
You get in what you put out as well.
Yeah, you have to put in the work. That's so true. You definitely get out what you put in.
But, like, at the end of the day, what's a couple of hours, half an hour's homework to the rest of your life?
Exactly.
Like, having a healthy,
you've got to think of the big
clearer
picture.
mind. Yeah, completely. It's so worth it. Our amazing friends and family, family, imagine. Our amazing friends have sent us a bit of feedback on how they found their counselling. So we're going to read them out.
Well, this is us opening up the conversation even more. It's not just about you and me.
So they said that they go every week and it feels like a safe space. I feel like the thing that's helped me most out of all of it is definitely the knowledge and understanding why I do certain things. When I say knowledge is power, like, girl, it is. A lot of people don't understand how much stuff is a form of trauma that they've been through and just never knew it affects them so much.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm not going to say it's foolproof and that I'm fixed or anything, but it definitely helps me and it changed my outlook on life and myself and others a lot. When I don't feel like I can get myself out of that dip, my therapist always says to me that she knows that I can and she believes it for the both of us. And it takes some of that pressure off me. It validates my feelings a lot, and you'd be surprised at how much of a difference it makes for someone to tell you that it's understandable for you to feel the way that you do. It's great. And that's why it feels so different when you go to therapy. If you've never had it before and all you've had is maybe trying to speak about the situation to your friends or family, when you then go to therapy, it feels so different because you can literally say whatever you want and cry about whatever you want and you're going to get no judgment for it because they've seen it all. They've heard it all.
Her having like the belief and the faith that she can do it, that support as well. It's not just someone there to talk to and vent to. That support you may have lacked from anyone else. You need someone else to believe in you that you can do it. Another perspective we've got as well. I thought therapy was like unravelling a ball of wool. You get so caught up in life that sometimes you literally can't see the good things for all the shit you're worried and anxious about. Every session was like unravelling a little bit of the ball of wool until I finally found the will to be grateful for what I had and stop falling into the same traps that make me blind to appreciation. Oh, that's such a beautiful analogy of it.
That is not just like, yeah, therapy was great, helped me be vulnerable, we talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
That's like
deep
and like puts it really in a nice way. Next one. Overall, I think counselling can be very useful for most people. However, I think people need to want to do it themselves as it involves deeply talking about potentially sensitive subject. I wasn't aware that it would involve having to go into so much detail about my pain and the situation and also my life background. But that is all so important. It's difficult but gets so much easier once you're more comfortable confronting the issue. Anyone thinking of going should. A problem shared is a problem halved, and speaking to someone who has no judgment is such a powerful and comforting thing.
Like, problems get worse the more you push them down, the more you avoid things, the more you try and ignore it.
Yeah, don't bottle things up and take it from someone that's done.
I almost
did that for about 20 years.
I was about to say it's like being constipated. It's really painful. You need to sit on the toilet. I have done enough analogies, I don't need to talk about constipation.
Therapy is like ball of wool and constipation.
Massive shit.
Female shit show. Last one then. Therapy teaches you techniques to heal from past trauma that you've buried deep inside you.
Oh, this is making me want to go back. Sorry.
If you stick with it and be consistent, the techniques that you taught will evolve you into the person that you have always wished to be.
That's so cute.
But obviously, no, this wasn't like trying to tell you to go
therapy. Counselling rates just skyrocket after this episode because of us.
It's literally Georgie and Anna sent me here. Use our discount code. This literally was the point to just help people talk more openly about it, break the stigma.
It's so cliche, but the more and more people talk about it, the easier it is to talk about.
So thank you so much for listening, if you've made it this far. Thank you so much, Em, once again for joining us. You have given us such a great insight into psychology.
I just feel great.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, it's been really nice.
If you actually want to talk to us about anything that we've spoken about, or you want to join in on the conversation, you can tweet us at Female Shit Show, or you can email us at thefemaleshitshow@gmail.com.
Instagram at the Female Shit Show. Share your thoughts.
Slide into those DMs.
If you want to share your experience with us, that is absolutely
okay.
Like
honestly, we will chat to
conversation.
Anyone about anything. Sometimes you can't speak to your friends or your family or your boyfriend or your girlfriend about anything you're going through, so maybe speaking to someone anonymous, maybe that's going to help you. That's absolutely fine, but we're not your therapist. Last episode that we did on mental health, we did give some helpful resources if you are thinking about getting counselling or therapy. We will obviously include these in the episode descriptions if you wanted to go check them out.
Thank you so much.
We've done that.
No, I'm saying thank you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Georgie.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for listening.
Welcome.
Thanks for chatting shit.
This has been straight up.
I feel like we're just like, well,
right, okay, see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye.